Chapter 135, Saving a Major Customer Too. And Zhao Soxui looked at Zhu Tui silently. She did not say anything. Zhu Tui felt a little flustered. And Zhao Soxui was speechless. Zhu Tui was speechless. I understand the trade-off. I won't risk my future. However, as you guessed, I won't give up until the last moment. Even if I really could not accept the challenge, I would not allow Haruji to be so arrogant. If he can fight, why can't I? And Zhao Soxui sneered. Zhu Tui nodded. It seemed that he had worried for nothing. And Zhao Soxui was much calmer and more rational than he had imagined. That's right, Miss Anne. I want to participate in the actual combat exchange this time. I contacted Mr. Wei. He said that as long as I have a passable battle record, he can give me a spot. I might be fighting with a second-year senior today. I'll let you know, Zhu Tui said. We have to experience actual combat. Since you've decided, do it. However, you have to remember that you could not be merciful to your real enemies in actual combat. Being kind to the enemy was the greatest form of irresponsibility to one's life. Only with life can you have everything. And Zhao Soxui said, I'll remember that. Goon! Not long after Zhu Tui left, and Zhao Xu's voice rang out again. Huang, prepare for the 24th pioneering experiment. Alright, Zhao Soxui. The higher the grade in the university, the easier the curriculum. In the second year, they basically had physical training and combat training every afternoon, so they had relatively free time. However, this afternoon, many second-year seniors, regardless of whether they were from the Extreme Branch or the Mystery Branch, gathered at the school's Longhu List combat arena. In the past, a large number of students would only gather at the Longhu List's combat arena when someone challenged them. The reason why there were so many people today was naturally because they were going to be the candidates for the actual combat exchange with the India sector's exchange team tomorrow. The school office had already issued a notice. The 15 candidates for the actual combat exchange with the India sector would be selected from the top 30 of the Longhu list. 10 people would be the official participants, and 5 would be the preparatory participants. Due to the fact that the second-year champion of the Longhu list, Dai Lijian, would not be able to return to school for the time being, the participants would be selected from the top 31 of the Longhu list. As for who to choose, it was up to the teachers to decide. The 15 candidates had to be selected based on the strength of the students participating in the exchange competition. The Wuxia Genetic Evolution College only had one requirement for the participating students: win. They had to win, be it in the extraterrestrial battlefield or on the Blue Star. The Wuxia sector had suppressed the India sector. Furthermore, the India sector had other motives for coming here. Therefore, they had to win. The school had already issued a reward. All the students who were chosen to participate in the battle, regardless of whether they were participants or preparatory participants, would be rewarded with 1 honorary contribution point. Honorary contribution points are not included in the level of individual rights. If a participant won a battle, they would be rewarded with 50 honorary contribution points and 10,000 yuans. At the same time, according to the principle of foreign affairs exchange, if a participant won a battle, they would be rewarded with 10 contribution points. If there were any injuries in actual combat, the school would take responsibility. The second-year students on the Longhu list almost went crazy because the rewards were too generous. In particular, those 10 contribution points could raise their pitiful level F rights to low-grade level E. However, it was too difficult to earn contribution points that were included in their individual rights. At the same time, the 50 honorary contribution points were also a huge reward. Many rare materials and truly precious medicines could only be bought with contribution points. Money alone was not enough. The deadline set by the school was 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Therefore, the second-year students had a chance to display their strength before 7 p.m. on Wednesday. The most violent and simplest method was to challenge the students on the Longhu list. They would continuously increase their ranking and display their strength in the challenge. If they managed to enter the top 31, they might be chosen by the school to participate in the battle. They had a 50% chance. Therefore, just after 2 o'clock, a large number of students gathered at the Longhu list's combat arena. Zhu Tui was also on his way. However, he received a call from Zhang Ziking, whom he had met on Sunday. "Hey, Brother Zhu, what do you think of the cash form that I sent you for the contribution points exchange? If you're not satisfied with the price and the plan, just tell me. I'll think of something for you." Zhu Tui was a little confused by the call. He had been too busy these few days and did not even look at the form. "This boss, Zhang, I'm sorry. I've been too busy these few days and haven't had the time to read this." Zhu Tui's apology made Zhang Ziking, who was on the phone, shiver. He almost thought that Zhu Tui was going to cut ties with him and give up on the idea of doing business with him. If that was the case, the 5,000 yuan that he had spent on the meal that day would be wasted. Zhang Ziking, who had been living a miserable life recently, felt his heart skip a beat. Fortunately, Zhu Tui was just too busy and did not have the time to look. However, based on Zhang Ziqiang's feelings as a businessman, he felt that Zhu Tui might be rejecting him. Perhaps it was a sign that he did not want to work with him. If it continued like this, Zhu Tui would probably continue to be busy. His business would probably be ruined. The money he had spent on the meal that day would go down the drain. Zhang Ziking, who was on the other end of the phone, had a glib tongue. Zhu Tui was a major client. He had to save him. "Brother Zhu, you geniuses are really busy. How about this? In order not to waste your time, give me the location and time. I'll rush over and wait for you in advance. It would only take 5 minutes, no, 3 at most, for me to explain everything clearly. As long as you give me direction and request, I can come up with several plans for you and strive to maximize your benefits." Zhang Ziking spoke like a machine gun. Zhu Tui was a little confused. He spoke quickly and clearly. This was also an ability. "No, Boss Zhang, I'm really a little busy. Brother Zhu, 3 minutes. Just 3 minutes. Give me a chance. I'll definitely satisfy you. Brother Zhu, where are you going later? Where is your next location? I will be waiting for you there in advance. I will definitely not waste your time. Just 3 minutes. Give me a chance." Zhang Ziqiang's voice was extremely sincere. Zhu Tui began to doubt his life when he heard that voice. He didn't do anything to Zhang Ziking, did he? Why did Zhang Ziqiang's voice sound like the end of the world? He even begged a little. It was a little annoying. However, in the end, Zhang Ziking had to fork out a lot of money to treat his brother to a full meal. He had to remember this favor. "I'm at the Longhu List's combat arena in school. Come over if you have time." Okay. Zhuang Ziqiang was extremely excited over the phone. His target customer had finally given him a chance. "That's great, Brother Shu, 15 minutes. I'll definitely be there in 15 minutes. If I'm not there in 15 minutes, I'll treat you guys to a meal this weekend." Huh? Why did Zhu Tui feel that treating them to a meal was the same as eating feces? Was it that scary to treat them to a meal? It was not Zhu Tui's turn to provoke the second-year students on the Longhu list and act arrogant in front of the top 30 second-year students. He had to wait until they were almost done fighting before he could find a target. He had to be in the top 30. Of course, Zhu Tui felt that he had to be prepared before he sought death. At the very least, he wanted to understand the strength of these seniors. The students who were preparing to challenge were all looking for the teacher on duty to register. Regardless of the overall ranking of the Longhu list, the leap in ranking could not exceed 10. For the 99th place, you can only challenge the 90th place at most. You can only challenge the places in front after you win. During the challenge, they had to arrange for powerful teachers to guard the area. They had to minimize the number of casualties. In the Longhu arena of the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College, there was a main arena and 2 sub-arenas. The main arena was 80 meters long and 50 meters wide. The ground and guardrails were all made of high-strength alloy. The separate stages were a little small. It was 50 meters long and 30 meters wide. Usually, they would only use the sub-stage when there were more battles. There were 4 huge electronic screens 20 meters behind the main ring. The first electronic screen was twice the size of the other 3 electronic screens. The golden words of Longhu overall rankings on the top of the electronic screen were especially glaring. Below, there was another name that was extremely dazzling.